Well, back in 2006, GT Sport Organization's Jesus Pereira had a vision. He sought to set out an international GT3 championship, and 20 years on, we arrive here at Portimao at the Algarve ahead of round one of the 2025 International GT Open Championship season here at this 4.653 kilometer circuit, 15 corners, 9 to the right, 6 to the left, with 70 minutes of racing action ahead. And what a storybook this has certainly brought us here, with this season bringing us later on the 300th race in the International GT Open when we go to Hungaroring later this year. But first and foremost, we have a busy schedule before even leading up to that very moment, lighting things up so far in this first round of this championship. Fabian Schiller, well, went to the top of the timing sheets, didn't he, folks, with a sensational run. It's been a Mercedes story right through the course of the weekend thus far, following suit from the last 2 seasons we have come here to the Algarve. George Morgan, your commentator, and once again alongside me, as always, Chris Stevens.
20 years of the International GT Open, and it has been absolutely electric every last season of it, and we're in for another one with Fabian Schiller kicking things off for us on pole position for the Bartone Bros Get Speed crew. But it was a super tight fight between the Mercedes, which has seemed the favourite here this weekend in Portimao, but the McLarens charged through with a challenge from the Greystone GT of Dean MacDonald, now in for a full season after doing the second half of last year's campaign alongside James Kell. Our GT Open 500 at Monza winners, now setting out for a full-on championship campaign and taking the fight to them. Motorpark also represented inside the top 3 with their Mercedes. Matteo Cairoli filling in for Maximilian Goertz, who will be the regular partner to Levente Revesh aboard their number 11 car, and Yannick Mettler snatching Pro-Am pole away from Carol Bash in the dying stages of qualifying for the car barn by SBS crew. And then in the start of their first full GT3 campaign, Mikey Porter for the Optimum crew, he and Zach Meakin graduating from the British GT4 category into GT3 here in GT Open, and they put it 5th on the grid.
Yeah. Also, Nicholas Cruton, who is certainly impressed as well in his first starts, because we speak about Motorpark being so good. Obviously, Yannick Mettler, as you so rightly said, Chris, surprising everybody right at the bitter end, where we thought everything had come to calmness. It certainly hadn't. Mettler snatching Pro-Am pole, essentially, with 4th place going his way. Limb Racing, a dawning of a new age for them as they now spring into Ferrari 296 for both cars throughout the entirety of this campaign. Of course, Carol Bash starting P7 on the grid. Tommaso Mosca, we welcome back AF Course as well, who have not won a team's championship in so many years. When we hark back at the record books, they won it back in 2012. Last time they won it was back in 2014, a long time ago. And we also welcome Brenton and Stephen Grove, father and son outfit, all the way from the Southern Hemisphere, coming to join us here at the Algarve.
Yeah, Iron Link's guest entry for this weekend, but this full season entry from Elite Motorsport, making their GT3 debut, as are Tom Leben and Tom Empson, their drivers, who have spent so much time with the Elite crew coming up through the GT categories.
Well, as we're about to get underway for race time here, all the cars lined up onto the grid for now, with the crowd starting to disperse in waiting for the formation lap. Here is, though, the starting grid for the very first round of the 2025 season. Fabian Schiller starts on pole for Bartone Brothers Get Speed, with Dean MacDonald representing the McLaren outfit at Greystone on the 2nd place spot. Matteo Cairoli in 3rd, with Yannick Mettler lining up in 4th, the highest Pro-Am on the grid. Michael Porter in 5th, Nicholas Cruton in 6th place as well. Further down in 7th, we have Carol Bash. The pole is back, with Tommaso Mosca in 8th as well for the AF Corsa Ferrari team. We've got Brenton Grove lining up alongside father Stephen Grove, with Tom Leben also for Elite in 10th spot. Steve Jans, we welcome him back for his first time since 2022 alongside Simon Riker, who shares the same row on the 6th row. We've got 13th for Miguel Ramos, a legend of this series, a former champion as well. Valentin Pierberg will start alongside him in 14th. Anton Dockwin in 15th place, with Luca Ludwig in 16th place. Further down, Marcus Pavrud in 17th spot, with 18th going to former Euro Formula ace, Philip Ugran. Down in 19th spot, we have Heiko Neumann in 19th, with Auden Gudmundsson for Team Tour. Then down in 21st spot, we have Lewis Michael Dorbecker. Then alongside him is Libor Milotta in one of the only Audi R8 I think we've got on the grid now in this modern time. We've got Marcelo Ramirez then in down in 22nd, or 23rd, I should say, 24th. Then at the back row, Johannes Zelger as well. Move on to 27th on the grid, Laurent de Meus. Gino Forgione in 28th. 29th for Alfredo Hernandez. Amir Naran starting in 30th for Vimana by Get Speed. And then in 31st place, Stanislav Jedlinski returns for Olymp Racing Audi. The pole back with Christian Korzanowski ahead of this new season. But as now the cars leave their grid places, the run down through towards turn 1 now gets underway. Well, they'll now look to get the tyres into an acceptable level of temperature, and at that same token as well, get their eyes set in around this Algarve circuit. So picturesque around this track. The fans have gathered in the grandstands as well for the feature of the weekend, and I'm sure it's going to deliver. The question is, though, will it be another Mercedes? Will it follow the same trend as the last 2 years here, Chris? Obviously, this is the third time in a row since it was brought back onto the calendar back in 2023 that we have raced here. So, who's it going to be?
Well, we've got 3 McLarens on the grid. 2 of them are in the top 5, so that's good for them. But the Mercedes dominates the grid figures with 12 cars present, 5 Ferrari, including 1 488 from Murtaugh Motorsport making their GT3 debut this weekend. 3 McLaren, as I said, 3 Audi, 2 Lamborghini and 4 Porsche as well, with the arrival of Team Tour in the AM Championship. GT Open's first Icelandic entry, and the guest entry as well from Dynamic GT as well, sort of bolstering the numbers there a little bit. But it's 2 factory drivers up at the front of the field. Fabi Schiller's just an established name with Mercedes now. Dean McDonald been driving McLarens for a long time now. Matteo Cairoli hoping to get his nose in there as well. Not a Mercedes factory driver, but certainly affiliated with them, having now left Lamborghini. And watch the progress as well. Mikey Porter gaining more GT3 experience. I think only his 4th race start in a GT3 car. And Nicholas Cruton as well in the 2nd of the Motorpark cars. He's been driving BMWs for the last 3 years. He's getting more and more attuned to this Mercedes machinery. Further down, let's keep an eye on drivers like Antoine Dauphin to make a progress for the Oregon Lamborghini crew. And the reigning champions, Simon Riker, starting all the way down in 12th position. Season 20 of the International GT Open. It's going to get spicy.
It certainly will. And, of course, we witnessed as well Miguel Ramos in his 147th start here in this first round, in this very first race of the International GT Open season. Also arrives here level on wins with Andrea Montemini in terms of total overall wins per driver. It's going to be a little bit different than it was in the past, given the fact that he is an AM driver these days. But you never say never. This is the International GT Open. Anything can truly happen, and it usually does. Fabian Schiller and Dean McDonald on the front row. Will Schiller persevere and land a blow, much like he has done in prior seasons? A victor here already in the past. It could yet happen again. Will lightning once again strike for Anthony Bartone as well, who in this very same race last year alongside Schiller would go on to take victory? Schiller also won the opening race back in 2023 as well, but the front 2 now trickle down through towards the lights. They all blaze red at the very front, and in GT Open's 20th season, we put pedal to the metal, and it's go, 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 go. Great start for Fabian Schiller. Equally, though, a great start for Dean McDonald. They're going side by side through towards turn 1. Yannick Mettler coming through around the outside. Matteo Cairoli getting a decent start as well, staying in position. It's wheel to wheel between the front 2, and Dean McDonald urgently trying to press and create an opportunity to take Fabian Schiller down as they cruise through over the hill now, sprinting down through towards Tora Vip as we run on board, coming down through towards the hairpin bend into the late braking zone. It will be Schiller who holds position. Cairoli and Yannick Mettler going wheel to wheel and side by side as they float their way out, coming out of turn 6 through turn 7. An orderly start, Chris.
And Cairoli nearly wiped into the side of Dean McDonald. Such a pinch point there at the first corner, so we nearly had contact between the 2nd and 3rd place cars. Absolutely incredible stuff to kick off this first race of the season. The Garage 59 car there, the Ammented machine splitting the 2 Oregon Lamborghini. Look at Carol Bash there trying to get around the Mikey Porter McLaren is on the inside. Tommaso Mosca going past Brenton Grove, who climbed up to second in the Pro-Am category while that was all going on. So the Pro Ferrari trying to get up on the inside. That's a tight squeeze into the antepenultimate corner, but he has managed to make that move. Takes us 5th position overall for the AF Corsa car, and putting Brenton Grove right on the back of Carol Bash, who is his next class rival.
Yeah, brilliant move for Tommaso Mosca. Now looking to move into the top 5 and challenge Yannick Mettler next time around as they cruise downhill once more this time. It's still Fabian Schiller at the front of the order, but credit to Dean McDonald for really throwing a potential curveball to Schiller on the opening lap of the race. He could have had his chance heading down through towards turn 6, but hey, listen, he's going to have other opportunities. There's still 67 minutes, nearly 68 minutes left of racing here at Portimao. Plenty more to come as we now watch them curtail through the initial corners once more. This time Carol Bash and their new Ferrari 296 looking to make moves. Also further back, we're watching Simon Riker pressing the back of Steve Jans, and that's one of the BDR Grupo Prom cars, the 77, that's actually come to a brief halt.
Hernandez,
yeah,
in
and
the car.
The Mexican, unfortunately, just getting a little bit caught, I think, coming in towards Galp corner, but gets back underway, so no use for a yellow flag or a safety car.
So we got away with that one. Of course, Carol Bash switching over from the Audi machinery they had last year. So Olymp know the 296 because the 5 car of Christian Kozlowski and Stanislav Linsky have been using it for about a year and a half now. But of course, Carol and Marchand will have to get used to it themselves as well. I mean, done a bit of testing with that car. As Mosca's now on the back of the Pro-Am leader, Yannick Mettler, who's held on to 4th position. And we can see Bash has made progress there. He already got that move done on Mikey Porter, hadn't he? So he's up to 6th position, now ahead of Cruton and Tom Leben, who's going very well in his first GT3 race start. Both those drivers coming from the GT4 European Series rather than the British Championship. Like the Optimum pair. So they barrel down side by side there with the Aaron Walker, Get Speed Mercedes and Simon Riker. It's actually Steve Jans at the wheel of the car. Riker's trying to get around, and nearly contact between them as they come down the start and finish straight. The Audi has not been working particularly well this weekend. They've been struggling in the box of the reigning champions, and the Lamborghini tried to show its nose as well with Luca Ludwig in the Mertel Ferrari in the Oregon getting up on the curbing there. So that was Antoine Docan finding out that you don't really want to hit that curb at the apex of turn 3.
No, not at all. Of course, we mentioned earlier on that ISR Audi, one of the only Audis in the field, the other one obviously being Easterland as well, heading down through towards turn 1, fighting tooth and nail with Steve Jans as they now fly down through towards Toravit. The 2 Oregon cars also looking to gain places. The famed 63 belonging to Anton Docan, now making his way uphill, looking to try and keep Miguel Ramos at bay as well. A former legend, as I said, is a legend of the International GT Open Series. Of course, a former champion multi-times over, holds many of the stats in the record books in his name, shared with Andrea Montemini, though the most starts certainly do favour him, and he'll be using all that experience here against those cars that are stacked behind him. That includes Philip Ugran now, who has a little look at the inside this time around, but might have shown his hand a little bit too early, because now the 25 is coming into this as well, as they now shoot uphill as they look to go nose to tail, very close as they now make their way towards the next heavy braking zone. No opportunity, 26 I mean, making his way through. That's Marcus Pavarud trying to move his way up through the order, but so far Philip Ugran doing enough to defend.
Dean McDonald is sticking with Fabian Schiller very nicely at the front of the field, but fastest lap, a previous lap was Matteo Cairoli. Fabi's just taking it back, a 1:43.3. So there is a little bit of way to go before we hit any kind of lap record pace. Of course, they're full of fuel at the moment, and it's very hot as well, which is not doing these Michelin tyres too many favours. But you see Cairoli's really putting the pressure on Dean McDonald. And so while the McLaren was looking very good in qualifying, the Mercedes is looking even better in race trim at the moment. But that being said, it's still only 1.2 seconds that covers the top 3. As it stands, we can see a replay of the start. You see McDonald went with Schiller very nicely, side by side all the way down, just fanning out completely across the racetrack. Absolutely brilliant stuff. That's going to make a great wallpaper photo for the social medias later on in the week. Couple having to take to the escape road to get it, to make sure they got through cleanly, but overall that was an incredibly clean race start. You can see it on board here from the Garage 59 car, a little bit further down in the AM field. Nice bit of space in front of him. Oregon Lamborghini on his right-hand side and on his left-hand side, and trying not to collect them on the left-hand side as well, as he had a bit of a swapper through turn 1. Filing through nicely in turn 3 as well, and yeah, it was all very neat and tidy. Trying to get around the outside of the I can assume is the number 19 Oregon on the left-hand side there, and whoa, that was Cairoli having a huge swapper through the last corner just as we came back to the live picture there. Having to gather that Mercedes AMG up very nicely. It doesn't look like it's cost him too much momentum, though, actually. And look at him ducking and diving, trying to fill the mirrors or the rear view camera that's displayed on the center console in these cars, and trying to put McDonald under big pressure.
Yeah, doing a good job of it too, McDonald, though. Marshalling him at every turn thus far, but it's opening the door for Schiller now to kick on. He's now a second clear of Dean McDonald now, and Matteo Cairoli keen to keep on just hustling his way in behind the McLaren 720S GT3. We've also got Yannick Mettler in behind, who's now 1.7 behind Matteo Cairoli, and Tommaso Mosca, who is certainly going to be one of the shining lights for AF Corsa this season, who mark their return once more to the series, as they always do. As I said, last time they took a team's title was back in 2014. They'll be hoping that they can perhaps enter themselves into the championship fight this season with Mosca as well as his teammate too. And of course, we'll be seeing the driver changes open up in around 20 or so minutes time, and that's going to be just as crucial as what goes on in this initial stint, as now they duck and dive downhill. Once again, Dean McDonald heading up in towards the next heavy braking zone, heading in towards the next left before they exit in towards turn 14 out of turn 13. And once again, Cairoli all over the back. Now, this is where the Mercedes grunt is oh so powerful. We've seen it time and time again, of course, between the McLaren that we saw in qualifying. There was around 2/10 alone coming out of this final portion of this circuit. Indeed, as you descend downhill and then take the straight leading through towards turn 1. Schiller with a nice 1.3 second gap this time as we take a look inside the Greystone garage. Schiller watching on.
Both V8 powered, of course, down here, but still completely different engines. The 6.2 litre naturally aspirated engine at the front of the Mercedes, whereas in the middle of the McLaren is a 4 litre twin turbo V8, so delivering the power in very different ways.
Packs a little different, a bit of a grunt, does the old Mercedes, and it does help when it comes to overtaking down long straights, such as the one we have here at Portimao, and obviously in the escape of certain corners as well, it can come in very useful as they now ascend uphill again, coming out of Tora Vip with a run coming in towards Samson, coming out of turn 7 in towards turn 8. Schiller now losing a little bit of time, was 1.3, 2/10 have now come off it, so McDonald doing a good job of maintaining his pace level despite Cairoli hovering all over his rear spoiler. Further back, good start for Mikey Porter as well, 4/10 away from Carol Bash, and staying with the pole is always hard because you know how quick he is, as we mark that Schiller took the fastest lap of the race last time out. Credit to Porter, staying on the tail of Bash is not an easy feat.
No, it absolutely is not, and we know how rapid the Polish driver is. Especially in that Audi over the last couple of years, now driving Ferraris, and Porter's certainly a lot less experienced in GT3. Of the two, he is slightly more experienced because he's been doing the Middle-Eastern Trophy races during the off-season, whereas Zach Meekin, I think, only has the one GT3 start to his name, which was at the GT Open last year. So both coming out of the British GT Championship, of course, and GT4, both champions there. Although the slight quirk of the system, that because you have an overall GT4 champion and a silver class champion, but the silver's the top class. But the way they do the points is not like we do, where your overall is just the top class. You know, they'll still get the separate points between silver and overall. So slight quirk of the system meant that they both ended up coming away with a GT4 championship last year.
Yeah, credit to them as well. You've now got to adapt to this level of GT3 machinery coming out of the GT4 European Series, where of course they did so well in Silver Cup, and now embracing the McLaren 720 SGT3, but they could not have a better team to work with than Optimum, obviously, who have represented in this series as well, time on time. Obviously won championships with Charlie Fagg and Sam Dehan as well, and then even prior to that, challenging the likes of Oregon team back in 2022 when they had Joe Osborne and Nick Moss at the wheel of their that famous orange and blue McLaren 720S that very nearly pushed Polcini all the way in that final stint, and we saw how animated Jerry Cannaviccio got trying to push his car out to the pit lane pretty much. I bet if he could, he would have tried, as we now watch them make their way downhill. There's Fabian Schiller, the man who, of course, went fastest in qualifying. As I said, a winner here back last season and the season before. Both wins coming in the opening race of the weekend. And that's Stanislav Jedlinski, who's come around, coming out of turn 3. Now, I can't see any visible damage. It looks like it might just be a spin.
There was some debris on just the right-hand side of his car.
Yeah.
And the leaders are about to come up to that spot where yellow flags are still waving. There's a little bit of debris down at turn 1 as well, so I wonder if the two are related. And, that's more dramas for Alfredo Hernandez, isn't it? So he spun round on the opening lap, didn't he? But now he stops at the side of the road. And there's, I don't know if there are any detectives watching along, but I wonder if they're starting to put 2 and 2 together there between those cars.
Yeah, you do have to wonder, because he's at the right portion of circuit should have anything gone on, and especially if you factor in the debris that you so mentioned, is that we see a move up the inside now, this time around, wheel to wheel, as they now sprint uphill. And of course this is Marcus Pavarud, I think, who's now looking to hustle and try and put the pressure on young Philip Ugran, who has moved in from single-seater into GT3 as of late. As they now zoom downhill, we've got some battling as well with Team Tor. See Arden Gudmundsson and also Valentin Pierberg coming together as well, and it looks like Team Tor managed to come out on top in that exchange in the Porsche. And Pavarud, unfortunately, has got to live to fight another day against Philip Ugran, as there's Jedlinski in a very, very tricky portion of circuit. That was close.
It was, wasn't it? So at least the other car's still going well, and the other Grupo Prom machine is going well with Dorbecker currently at the wheel. But we're under safety car. So that must be for the Stricken Hernandez car, because it was in a slightly precarious spot on the runoff area at turn 4. And
there it is.
Yeah, so it's still Stricken there. It's the red trim on the 77 car. And yes, I believe we're going to see it was something. Oh, God. So it was Hernandez on the inside and a big hit. And it was, something of a whodunit novel to get that one figured out. But, yeah, that's why there was debris down there at turn 3.
Yeah, so there we are. And we'll take a look at the replay as well. This is the Team Tor move up the inside, and nicely done as well by Arden Gudmundsson on Valentin Pierberg, straight up the inside, and has moved now up into 18th place as the safety car takes them round at the head of the order. Schiller is caught up with it, as is Dean McDonald, Matteo Cairoli. The rest, of course, will filter in behind. But if we want to talk about good starts, obviously a great start for Fabian Schiller, but now that delta that is earned on Dean McDonald is going to dissipate now, Chris, so all advantage is gone.
Wasn't much advantage he had anyway. It was only about a second and a bit, wasn't it? I'm sure this is an opportunity for Cairoli to try and jump Matt Donald as well, make it a Mercedes 1-2. Different teams, of course, but I'm sure he'll be thinking that nonetheless. What this does do, if you've got your pro in the car at the moment, if you're a pro-am runner, this is not great news, because you want them to be pulling away and getting a nice big gap at the moment. So for Yannick Mettler, Carol Bash, Brenton Grove, Luca Ludwig, Marcus Pavarud as well in the Santalot car, it's not fantastic news. Top bronze driver at the moment is Steve Jans in the number 6 Get Speed car. That's Stanislav Jedlinski getting his Olymp Ferrari back into pit lane. Of course, limping his way home after getting some damage on the rear right corner from the Grupo Prom Mercedes.
Coming in to bring it to a stop, and then they'll obviously just survey it just to make sure that nothing untoward has happened to it, that nothing that can lead to any further issues. They have it up on the jacks at the moment now, and just conversing here with Stanislav Jedlinski, as now you can see the drills are at work on the tyres. They're just surveying that rear right. We'll take a look at the moment again. And so this is where it all came together. Unfortunate for Hernandez really to get caught with this one as well, with Jedlinski. Just going to cut across the front, and you can just see their front left meeting rear right. And
so I imagine that Hernandez has got front left suspension damage, which is why he's parked up at turn 4 there after that hit.
Yeah, Stefano. Oh, yeah, that would be where it is. The front left. You just see it was very late in the day in terms of, you know, where he met. You know, it was pretty much after we saw the initial impact by a good, you know, maybe a couple of seconds. Then he just caught the front, the rear left of, as he was looking at it on Stanislav Jedlinski's Ferrari 296. So that's shredded the front right side of the BDR Grupo Prom car. Unfortunately for Hernandez, that has to bring him to a standstill. What this does mean now is obviously, by extension, we do have this safety car, and now all the cars get into position, get into order behind the pace car now, with Schiller leading them around as well. Got to give credit as well, credit's due to Mertel Motorsport, because of course in their first weekend of the International GT Open, of course we all know them from the GT Cup Europe Championship, it's been you know, a decent solid start so far for Luca Ludwig. 13th place in the Pro-Am charge, and currently 5th in their class as well, Chris.
Yeah, not doing a bad job out there. It's the 488 that they have, of course, in their garage rather than the 296. But yeah, going very well out there at the moment. 5th in class, as you mentioned there, George. The only concern will be that Luca Ludwig's currently behind one of the bronze drivers in that category. But of course, early days for them. The step up from running the challenge machinery in Ferrari Challenge and in GT Cup Europe to come into doing this is extraordinary.
Yeah.
They're about to do their first proper live pit stop.
Yeah, yeah.
Because in Ferrari Challenge races, you don't have them, and in the GT Cup races, it's just a driver swap. You don't do any refueling, you don't do any tyres or anything like that. So they've suddenly got a lot of extra work that they have to do.
A lot more peripherals.
Plus, many more tools they have to use as well to operate these cars.
But I'm sure it's a test that Mario Grumt is going to be looking forward to taking on, especially given the fact that you know, there's the eyeballs on this championship is certainly phenomenal. We've witnessed obviously one of the probably the most affluent grids we've seen in recent history. Of course, last year's was great as well. We got 30 cars that came in as full season entries, plus additionals that have come in as well to take part in the championship, and especially for this first round as well here in the International GT Open. We'll see many of them returning, that's for sure. So take a look inside the car collection Porsche garage. Only with the one this season. Of course, we saw a race win for them last year, didn't we? Back at Barcelona with Gustav Bergstrom, Nico Menzel. What a drive that was from both of those, and one that I'm sure car collection Porsche enjoyed their first in the championship thus far. And you never know, maybe more to come in the future.
Yeah, so it's the Alex Fontana and Hash car, the Pro-Am car that they ran last season, is the one that's come back, and of course they were class winners last year in Barcelona as well, and hoping for many more with Hash now in his second season of competition. And Alex getting very busy with his Alex Fontana Academy drivers. Hash is the primary customer of which, but we will have safety car in this lap. So another couple of minutes and then we'll be back underway. It's currently 50 minutes on the clock, so 20 minutes into this race, but it's pretty much the reset at the moment. The Pro-Am runners maybe had a little bit of a disadvantage, and of course even for the Pro runners as well, if you've got your quicker driver in at this stage, it does make life a little bit easier for the second drivers who are chasing you later on, because those guys are not pulling the gap that they should be at the moment. So that's the likes of Fabi and Matteo as well.
Yeah, it means obviously that it gives them little time to grow the gap before the driver change window opens as well. 7.5 minutes to go, by the way, until the driver change window does open up, as we now watch as the cars now make their way out of turn 13 through towards turn 14. They come into a near standstill, not quite, but the pace car is going to be coming in, and it's going to be all on Fabian Schiller to get us back underway now with 49 or so minutes on the clock. Dean McDonald waiting for another opportunity to potentially upend Fabian Schiller. He couldn't do it at the very beginning. The race start did not provide the opportunity, but you never know this time around. It could come calling here for the McLaren 720S GT3 as now they make their way out of turn 15 now, down towards the straights. Green flag resumes and it's pedal to the metal for the second time in this race now. It's Schiller who leads. Further back, Dean McDonald getting off to a sensible start as well. All the action, though, is happening a little bit further back because Carol Bash is now hovering all over the back. And yes, he caught the back as well. We saw debris fly up in Tommaso Mosca's car. We just saw perhaps a little bit of bodywork just unveil or fray itself away from the body of the Ferrari 296, and now heading uphill once more. He's going to be chased down not only by Bash, but Mikey Porter, who has also come into this as well. And he's bringing a train. Cruton, Leben, Grove, Riker, all of them in the background of all of this. As now they fly down through towards Toravit. Once more, here comes now Tom Leben, now being met toe for toe here by Nicholas Cruton, as well as they now escape coming uphill through towards turn 7. And again, coming off the curb, here comes Leben again. He's now got to try and defend against what looks to be Brenton Grove, as they now curtail coming up through Samson. Grove going the long way round as they look to rise uphill, and the Iron Links is going to push him all the way here as they now curtail downwards, steel wheel to wheel, as they now hover up through around turn 12, lighting things up as they come out of turn 10, I should say, through towards turn 11, wheel to wheel still, and Tom Leben loses out. Great move from Brenton Grove thus far.
No, Grove went wide, and so that's allowed the elite car back through and almost opened up the door for Simon Riker to put his Audi ahead as well. But yeah, pretty feisty stuff from Brenton Grove, very experienced GT3 racer against Tom Leben in his first GT3 race as well. So that's epic stuff, and I'm sure he would have been slightly aware that he needed to give Tom a little bit more space, just because he knows he's less experienced.
From that camera angle, it definitely looked like Brenton Grove had the upper hand heading at the top of the crest, but just totally fell apart as soon as we panned it to the other side, and it was Tom Leben who had the better line. Great work.
The question is going to be how much damage is there on the back of the 51 AF Corsa Ferrari after Carol Bash went into the back of him on the restart, and is that going to hamper his pace? At the moment, it doesn't seem so, because he's lapping in the 44s and keeping Carol Bash at bay. But that's definitely going to be one to look out for throughout the remaining 46 minutes of this race.
Looks like Stanislav Jedlinski's come back into the pits as well. Let's take a look at this moment. Oh, there we are. Yeah, you just see it just shredding off the back. I think it was the initial touch. Looks like it might have come away, perhaps from both machines. I could see there a little bit of shredding coming off the front end of the Ferrari 296 belonging to the 777 Audi belonging to Carol Bash, as they now sweep uphill. And he's going to be met now with Mikey Porter in the rear. So another McLaren 720S looking to make its way higher up inside this top 10, as they now make their way around the right-hander with Schiller, McDonald, Cairoli. There's Yannick Mettler, who's had quite a quiet race so far. He hasn't really had much to do. He's currently in semi-no man's land. He's a second behind Cairoli and 1.2 ahead of Tommaso Mosca.
Yeah, so the Italian there in 5th position at the moment, and splitting the Pro-Am battle there. And of course they're close back up onto the leaders again. It's 1.5 seconds that covers the top 3.
Oh.
Fabi's working at re-establishing that lead gap, because it's already about a second. We'll see what it is when they get over the timing line on this lap, which will be, yeah, it's still around 9/10 of a second.
Yeah, you just see that little bit of debris on the front right-hand side, the front left as we're looking at it on Carol Bash's car. So that is some of the essence that flew off as we saw him coming toe-to-toe with Tommaso Mosca as they now come out through turn 3. There is, of course, the McLaren 720S belonging to Mikey Porter, as they now look to dive downhill through towards Toravip once again. 44 minutes. 45 to go here in this race. Still a driver change window to be opened up. That will be coming in the next 2 minutes and 40, so hang on to your hats, folks. Schiller now with a 9/10 of a second gap ahead of Dean McDonald, so he's really starting to put the squeeze on against the Greystone GT McLaren. Cairoli down in 3rd, still hovering all over the tail of McDonald as it stands. There is Mikey Porter again, coming up and then downhill once more. Now, you do have to wonder whether Bash is going to be met with perhaps a little bit of toing and froing with Porter at this rate. Of course, it's urgent for Bash to have a good, decent run in this opening stint, but obviously just due to the safety car, any advantage he could possibly gain here, Chris, it's going to be against him, because obviously he's got his AM driver coming up next, which is Marcin Jedlinski.
Yeah, so then it'll be over between him and Dexter Muller up at the front. But that's why, you know, you keep an eye on drivers like Steve Jans, who's in 5th position in Pro-Am at the moment, but got the pro Aaron Walker to come in the second half of this race, and especially with that safety car as well. That's done them a solid.
Yeah.
We'll wait to see how that plays out in the second part of the race. It's still just under 2 minutes until that driver change window does open, and even then, you'll have anyone with their AM in will pretty much come in straight away so that their pro can get the maximum track time. And if you've got your slower driver in the AM category and the pro category, then you'll make a stop early on as well. But these leaders, they'll be staying out for as long as possible.
We certainly will. So Schiller being the fastest driver in his essence, but obviously when we talk about Anthony Bartone, he has raced across many different disciplines in terms of GT3 as of late. Hails from a drag racing family that have been so prominent in that field. But if you look at Bartone, he has done exceptionally well in terms of race results here in the International GT Open. Of course, race winner, as I said, part with Schiller last campaign, and has also raced in other categories, including at IMSA in the sports cars, and also in GT World Challenge as well. He has proven to really have a bountiful level of experience, especially with what he's accumulated over the last couple of years. And now he's going to be stepping in place of Fabian Schiller in a bid to keep when, obviously, Dean McDonald comes in. James Kell will be taking the seat. But a fastest lap here for Fabian Schiller, currently nestling in a 1:42.595. And that's currently around 2/10 faster than the lap set in place by Dean McDonald over the last run as well. So credit to him for that as they now pirouette downwards through towards the long straight. Once again, the 2 Oregon cars further down as well. Antoine Docquin and also further back, Philip Hugran, almost nose to tail. They're 14th and 16th in unison at the moment, with only the car belonging to Miguel Ramos that separates, and that's another McLaren 720S GT3, part of Garage 59. They'll be looking for a big season in AM class, but in comes now the Easterland Audi with the driver change open. Simon Riker coming in. Christopher Haase will step in his place.
Yeah, so Chris Haase about to get his first official laps in the GT Open 2025 out there, because of course Simon qualified the car as well, and Chris now a free agent after his contract with Audi ended, and there is an absolute flurry of them in pit lane at the moment. So the BDR competition car, the ISR Audi, the Tsunami Porsche, the SBS number 20, Dominic Baumann getting aboard that car there, the AF Corsa number 25, so that'll be Laurent Demeus, and it should be Vincent Abril in that, getting in that car. 82 Get Speed as well, with Ralph Aaron now climbing aboard. So the Estonian driver taking over from Marcello Ramirez, who's just completed his GT Open debut.
Of course, his brother Paul Aaron, currently aligned with the Alpine Formula One team as well, Ralph Aaron. And
yes.
Ralph himself racing in GT World Challenge over the last few years. And just to sort of rubber stamp this as well, we had Rima Jafali racing in this series back in 2022. Now, this is a fun tidbit for you, everybody. Both herself, as well as Yannick Mettler, Rolf Aaron, all competed together in GT3. Back in 2023. Obviously, she wanted to take Theba Motorsport to a new direction after their successful first stint in the International GT Open as well back in 2022. And as a trio, as a unit, did rather well. And Ralph Aaron has certainly proven, much like his brother, to be a very, very good driver.
Look at this, George. The traffic coming straight out in front of the leaders. That's an absolute nightmare for them. And that is not Matteo Cairoli putting Dean McDonald under big pressure. That was actually the Pro-Am car with the 65. So it was Lucas Dunner who's just got aboard that car from Heiko Neumann. That came up right behind McDonald there. But see, yeah, now we've got a mix of cars on the lead lap and cars that have fallen down a lap. 63 in with Artem Petrov replacing Antoine Dauquin aboard that car. And so Dauquin starting his first proper season committed to GT3 competition. Artem Petrov we saw in that car last year, which was, I think it was the number 19 actually, but still with the Oregon crew. Philip Ugran, his teammate, stays out a little bit longer. Recently upgraded to gold status, actually, the Lamborghini junior driver in the number 19. That's currently in 14th position overall, but you see the gap now that's extended because this traffic has done Dean McDonald a bit of a solid, really, because Cairoli's fallen back about 1.6 seconds. So the car directly behind him is actually the Pro-Am Motorpark car with the yellow headlights and the yellow mirrors. The car behind him is the third-placed car. And the thing is, Fabi might complain about that traffic, but Dominic Bauman's now aboard that SPS car directly in front of him, and so that's now going to be a very rapid car, despite being a lap down.
I don't think Iconon would be too disappointed with how things panned out, though, because obviously, given the safety car phase, it would manage to bring his car back into it. At the same time, we all know Lucas Dunner is very capable behind the wheel as well. So, certainly based after what we saw last year, is now we witness the Mercedes AMG of Steve Jans coming in. Aaron Walker, the Herefordshire boy, now looking to set his own pace here around this circuit. Obviously, now looking to jump in and now meets Steve Jans in a bid to get him out of the car as quickly as possible. Of course, Steve Jans marking a reappearance here to the International GT Open, as I said, partnering with Janine Schaffner a couple of years ago now, back in 2022 with the SPS Performance outfit, and now he's back again as well, this time with Aaron Walker alongside him. So we'll see what Walker can deliver as well on his particular stint. Now they run downhill and back up once more. The Tsunami RT also out and about also. We have to talk about them as well, because Fabio Babini and Johannes Zelger, who are those drivers that you possibly would remember from the GT Cup Europe days. Of course, we talk about Babini being somewhat of a sports car legend, done pretty much everything in the world of GT3, but also has taken part in Le Mans and has been successful in that trend as well. Basically, what hasn't he done?
Yeah, and dual duties for him this year, so he's just finished the GT Cup race.
You know what they say, no rest.
Yeah, exactly. So with Davide Scanicchio in the Cup car, and now hopping into the GT3 car that he shares with Johannes Zelger. More cars diving for pit lane. That's the Mikey Porter McLaren, isn't it? And Tom Lebon Ferrari. So Elite Motorsport about to do their live pit stop. They'll be hoping it goes a little bit better than the practice stop they did yesterday, where the door fell off. Which,
they were just trying to lose weight, personally.
Yes, quite. Doesn't exactly come up in the briefing notes, does it? Like, what happens if your door falls off? But yeah, he pulls in. Elite Motorsport, their first pit stop. Optimum Motorsport a bit further down. So Mikey Porter will hand over to Zach Meakin.
Oh.
And they did secure the door there, didn't they? Because they were worried about it.
Just making sure that it doesn't fly off again.
When it comes off on the jacks, maybe they did just have to nudge it back into place. But yeah, they did have a bit of an incident yesterday where the door completely fell off.
Well, they thought they had a fix for it when I popped by to go and see them, but clearly there's still a little bit of work that needs doing. But
it's not bolted on the 296; it's sort of slotted in. It's a bit of an odd solution, to be honest, because it's not like you saw the McLaren there with the sort of gull-wing doors on there. It's a bit more, I guess, naturally secure.
Yeah. Well, at least for now, they've managed to obviously identify the problem, and it shouldn't plague them this time around. Obviously, once the driver change window is all complete, then they won't have to worry about it at all, as we now watch as Fabian Schiller heads downhill. The change is still on. Of course, we've still got another... just looking at it on screen now, 7 minutes or so to go. So Schiller's going to make the most of these 7 minutes and try and usher in fastest lap after fastest lap here to try and grow somewhat of a gap. McDonald has still got to come in as well. So does Matteo Cairoli. Mettler, Mosca, Bash, Cruton, as well as Brenton Grove, who is still out on circuit as well. Luca Ludwig, who's going to put in a mammoth stint, as is Miguel Ramos, Philip Ugran, Auden Goodmanson. Christopher Haase, incidentally, is currently the leading driver that has made a stop so far, and incidentally also has the fastest lap of the race as well, with a 1:42.4. So far, so good for East Lent. The defending champions looking to come back and defend the crown once again.
And Haas has done the fastest lap of the race as well, so he's jumped Zach Meakin and Tom Empson, I believe, with that. So Haas is absolutely flying, as you'd expect. Officially at the end of his Audi contract, as Philip Ugran now hands over to Robin Rogalski in the number 19. So Robin coming over from the Italian GT Championship, partnering the Lamborghini Juniors. Now stepped over from LMP2 competition, but they have confirmation at the bottom of the screen. Chris Harser, 142.4, fastest man on track at the moment. And a couple of weeks ago, got to be reunited with his 2014 Nürburgring 24-hour winning Audi R8, well, it would have been the LMS Ultra. That's from 2014. Yes, at a Goodwood members meeting, which was really great to see. So let's see, and also it's really great to still have him back on this program. This is his main program for this year, and of course the future of every Audi driver and every Audi car at the moment in GT racing has been continually in question, and so just it's great to have Chris still with us. We're on board here with the 51 Ferrari, going down the inside into the first corner. So that's a little bit further down the Tommaso Mosca. Yep, trying to get round the lap traffic, wasn't it? So Mosca hasn't pitted yet.
Yeah, Ralph Aaron, the fastest lap of the race after taking it away from Christopher Harser, 142.239. As it stands after a purple middle sector, as now we watch a bit of a replay here. We've got the ISR Audi on the outside now.
That's the Santa Lock, isn't it? Yeah.
Oh, the Santa Lock, I do apologise, absolutely right. We do have the 3 Audis, I should say, this season, with the AF Corsa diving up the inside. Misidentification from myself on my part. Do apologise, folks.
So Robert Visoyu is about to officially come out of retirement, folks, because he's getting on board the number 13 Mercedes. So Nicholas Cruton handing over that car. And Robert, after he hung up his gloves and helmets at the end of his Formula 2 campaign in 2017, did a couple of radical races just out of boredom, I think, since then. But last year, end of last year, did an LMP3 race in France and is now coming back to full-time competition. And this is where he's doing it.
And shared his time as well with the likes in Formula 2 with Carlos Sainz and also Daniel Kvyat. So he was in good company back then and does carry a lot of quality, and no doubt we'll be looking to make a statement here for Motor Park, as now we see a little bit of a coming together further back as well. That's an Oregon car, and also Mercedes AMG just shone it on his tail.
Walker trying to get around Artem Petrov there in the
over that 14th
Mercedes.
place.
Well, it's currently 14th place, but of course we've got a few cars yet to stop. Top 10 yet to come in. Harser, the leader of those who have pitted. And yeah, this is Ralph Aaron, fastest driver on track, as in comes the AM class leader, Miguel Ramos, the new entry from Garage 59. So he'll be handing over to Mark Sansom. That pair won the Golf 12-hour last year in the Pro-Am category together. But Sampson about to make his GT Open debut, but very experienced with the Garage 59 crew, having joined them last year.
So won many championships in the story of the International GT Open. We take a look back in the Roll of Honour, obviously, that he's certainly made his mark in. We go back as far as 2020 when he last became a champion in this series, becoming an overall champion before that, also becoming the Pro-Am champion in 2015.
Ramos.
And Miguel Ramos. Yeah. And even before that, has actually pulled out mega results throughout his time in the sport. And not to mention, we look back at his race wins, as I said at the very top of the show, total overall wins per driver, 20 in his pocket, along with Andrea Montemini. And we had Andrea Montemini back with us a couple of seasons ago as well in 2023, which was a pleasure to watch. Mark Sansom, though, will now be at the wheel of the car this time around for Garage 59 as they now come through. Sorry,
George, top 2 into pit lane. So Fabian Schiller, Di McDonald and Matteo Cairoli. So top 3 all coming in together. They could have squeezed one more lap out of it if they wanted to, I think. But also coming into the pits is Yannick Mettler, Tommaso Mosca and Carol Bash as well. See if anyone else stretches that out any further, but that's Anthony Bartone getting aboard the number 9 Get Speed car. Of course, this pair won this race last year. And James Kell getting aboard the Greystone McLaren there. Yannick Mettler serving his time. He's handing over to Dexter Muller getting his first laps in this race. So bronze driver handing over to now. That's the Pro-Am leader, don't forget. Marcin Jedlinski also getting aboard the Olymp Ferrari 777 machine as well. That's second in Pro-Am. Stephen Grove has also come in as Brenton Grove, I should say, handing over to his father, Stephen. Really great to see him back, by the way, after that terrible crash he had at the Bathurst 12 Hours earlier this year. Ivan Velasco, GT Cup champion, now aboard the Myrtle number 80. And the 86 Team Tour Porsche in as well. So now this is going to be... And James Kell has jumped the Bartone Bros Mercedes. So we have a new race leader, and it's the Greystone GT McLaren of James Kell. So did something go wrong there for Get Speed, or was it a short stop for the Greystone, I wonder? We'll check to see if all the handicaps were served correctly, but that is a change for the lead and a rapid stop for Greystone.
Very good stop, and now we're going to take a look at it. This was the moment, indeed, that out came Anthony Bartone, but just look at this.
Wow.
Look at that for a release from James Kell, right at the very death. As soon as Bartone jumped, so did Kell. Here it is, on board with Bartone. The reactions were just that little bit quicker from James Kell, I think. We'll obviously wait and see whether that has been observed in terms of the handicap and the stop phase. Obviously, we'll keep you updated, folks, but as of now here, with 27 and 49 to go, James Kell leads the race ahead of Anthony Bartone. Levente Ravesh now currently on track P3. Christopher Haas also out on track. It's now fourth in our classification.
How has he done that?
Well, he put in a fastest. He put in a fastest final sector. Oh, we got Team Tour off. 86 of Team Tour.
Yeah, so Torvaldo Girasaran had just got aboard that car and has looped it at turn 3. And there was a 5-second time penalty for the number 13 car that just came through. It just disappeared off the screen, but that's the 9th place car now, Robert Visoyu. So I didn't quite see what that was for, but we're going to see what happened to the Team Tour car here. I think it's just probably just lit up the Michelin's on power at turn 3.
Yeah, just a little bit of a moment coming through turn 3 up towards turn 4, and therefore was just stagnant for a brief moment, but of course they will lose a couple of places. Meanwhile, we can just see there as they filter down through towards turn 1, it's still James Kell at the head of the order. Of course, made quite the statement back at Monza, if you remember correctly, in the International GT Open last season, where they would make their debut in this series with Garage 59, and also couple that with obviously Dee McDonald's opening set. It was absolutely phenomenal, you know, from both drivers, and now Kell behind the wheel, obviously very well experienced in the realms of GT3 as they look to battle over first place. Bartone not going away, only 7/10 behind the McLaren 720S GT3. We'll see how this finale unfolds. When we look at James Kell, like we said, GT World Challenge in recent years from 2023 to 2025, and even prior to that, Spa 24 Hour Silver Cup 2024 winner, and has taken part in the 24 Hour of Dubai in 2023, finishing in 3rd that season as well. 3rd in GT4 in British GT, Silverham, in fact, that campaign as well. And 2022 GT3 2nd, and 2023 GT3 3rd. So he's got plenty of experience at the highest level. No question, James Kell is going to be tricky to catch.
There's quite a battle going on here with Ralph Aaron trying to get around the Tsunami Racing team at Porsche Fabio Babini, and so that is for 22nd and 21st as it stands. Got the Alexei Nisov dynamic Porsche right behind him as well. Ralph Aaron, really great to see him in this championship. I've never seen a driver anywhere else be able to take 3 years off in team management and then come back to the level that he's done it at with factory status as well at Mercedes. He's done an absolutely cracking job since returning to the racetrack.
Yeah, brilliant driver. See Ralph Aaron, and there's the Team Tour off again. And that's once again, day goes from bad to worse here for Theovalda Gizrasen, who's now off to the side of the road. Now we watch this Tsunami RT now coming under quite a little bit of pressure here. So they race downhill. Ralph Aaron really starting to put the pressure on, and this is the Team Tour car. This is where it all went wrong. Just locking up, heading down towards the hairpin. Probably came in with too much heat as well into the apex, and unfortunately went off track, but a very difficult start to his stint.
Yeah, so yellow flags are out at turn 5. Messages come up, George. All handicaps are okay. So James Kell is in the clear there. It was just a really, really tight turnaround from the Greystone crew to get that car ahead of Anthony Bartone in the pit lane. And that has given them a really, really great opportunity now. This is on board with Carl Bennett now in the 51 car. He's got Dexter Muller just in front of him. He's the Pro-Am leader, but of course the bronze driver now aboard that car. Carl Bennett, got the former Isotta Fraschini hypercar driver in the World Endurance Championship. Started off this year with the Absolute Racing Ferrari alongside his father Gregory in the Asian Le Mans Series, and now going for the full campaign with Tommaso Mosca.
Oh, there we go.
And the one taking opportunity on that is Zach Meakin, trying to get on the inside in the Optimum McLaren, and watch out for Tom Empson as well in the Elite Ferrari as well. So those two cars at the back of that queue, they're the two young gun GT4 grads, and it is Empson who comes out best in all that, because he not only gets around Meakin, he gets around Muller as well, just as Carl Bennett managed to find his way through into 5th place. And now he's had two of them. I don't think he's done yet. Here comes Tom Empson again in the Elite Ferrari, going mounting a challenge now on the AF Corsa car. So one car that is steeped in Ferrari history against a car making its GT3 debut. And on the outside, he gets the up and under there on the Thai American driver. And now on the inside of turn 3, this should be the opportunity for the Brit to go through on the inside, and Meakin trying to find his way through as well. But this is great stuff. And Elite Motorsport now running in 5th position on their debut. Tom Empson with a amazing couple of corners.
Tom Empson, welcome to the International GT Open. Sector 3 and Sector 1 alone, taking down 3 cars in the process. And also credit to Carl Bennett for getting past, finally, obviously, Dexter Muller, who was leading that contingent around as well. Now it's down to Zach Meakin to try and respond. He's currently sat on the tail here of Carl Bennett as they come uphill with the AF Corsa now pirouetting out of turn 8. But a wonderful move indeed from Tom Empson, who's now 11.2 behind Christopher Haase. So the battle for the lead now is between 4 cars. Haas is really trying to nail in to that delta with the cars in front. Let's take a look at this again. So Carl Bennett comes up the inside here of Dexter Muller, takes that place. Tom Empson with the door wide open after Meakin went the long way round, then found the angle and pitched his way forward, then eventually tackling Carl Bennett down the long straight as well. As we're riding on board with Bennett right now on the replay. And heading downhill, just kept his line as well and managed to breeze past the car belonging to Dexter Muller. Great effort from the AF Corsa.
This is Empson driving like it's his 100th
that's an experienced driver's move, right? I mean,
that's incredible stuff.
Just held his line.
Bounced it over the curb there as well. Really great stuff. And Meakin tried to take advantage of it. Did get that move done in the end. Up into turn 12 at the top of the hill. Running Carl Bennett out wide there as well. A little bit rude, but all's fair in love and war. So Bennett shuffled down to 7th position now with Zach Meakin up into 6th. Those are the two young guns, the future of GT3 racing. Incredible stuff. Right, Anthony Bartone now under pressure from debutant Levente Ravesh. Now remember, he cut short his Euroformula campaign with Motorpark in another GT Sport organisation series to focus his preparations on this season with the GT3 car. And it turns out they're paying off at the moment, because he's mounting a huge challenge on Anthony Bartone. So this is two great Mercedes teams, Get Speed versus Motorpark, vying for the pace at the moment. But Haas is lapping quicker than both of them. They could still come away with a podium here as Robin Rogalski tries to get back past Ralph Aron in the second of the Get Speed cars. The green car up at the front and the Oregon Lamborghini chasing him of Rogalski, but sitting back behind them. They've got Babini and Ivan Velasco just up the road as well. And we're going to see a big moment here for Alexei Nisov in the Dynamic GT that does turn into a half rotation. Did he just keep those rear tyres out of the gravel trap? I don't think he did, but we don't have yellows down at turn 3, so that would suggest he managed to get it out there. And
so fortunate,
just kept it out of the gravel.
So fortunate to stay out of the gravel trap.
That's the difference between a yellow flag and a safety car.
Absolutely. Well, they now make their way over the crest once more. There's Ravesh, who, when we look at Motorpark since they've joined the International GT Open. Their breakthrough year was obviously when they first started their full season campaign in 2023. Had a couple of sporadic appearances in 2022 as well, but Diego Menchaca and Marcos Seibert winning race 2 here at Portimao back in 2023. And unfortunately did not go on to win the title despite going close on multiple occasions. But last year they were plagued with terrible misfortune, you know, most notably at the Spa Enduro, where they had an issue with the release and of course the refueling as well. I know that Marcus was very disappointed with it. And of course Diego Menchaca, I mean, who can forget the emotional scenes back in 2023 as well at the very end of the season.
When he thought he'd won the championship and actually hadn't.
Absolutely.
And then if you think back to last year as well, they ended up, they had a DNS here with an engine failure here in Portimao, DNF in Paul Ricard with another engine failure, and then they ended the season at the side of the road having run out of fuel.
Yeah.
So, yeah. A lot of bad luck in there as well, but it's all new lineups at Motor Park this year, and they're coming out swinging at the moment. This is a really, really impressive performance from both these crews at the moment. But just look who's lurking in the background. Look who's lurking away. Cue the Jaws theme, because here comes Christopher Haase.
As now we watch as Christopher Haase comes through towards turn one. Of course, reigning champion with Isolent Audi. And they celebrated a team's title going back 2 seasons ago, then followed it up with a champion's crown with Simon Riker and Christopher Haase. Well, that's why they emblazed the number 1 on the side of the car as well, in recognition of the championship feat. There's Heiko Neumann, Timo Rumpfkarl as well, boss of the Motor Park outfits, and they're going to be very wary of Haase in behind. Laventia Ravesh, who hasn't had a lot of time in GT3 cars, came up through the fold through Motor Park in the Euro Formula Open Championship, also competing in Formula Regional European Championship by Alpine. I must say has given a grand display here so far and has remained on the tail of a very experienced Anthony Bartone, who is working so hard to keep his fellow Mercedes AMG assailant down as they fly uphill once more, take the curvature through towards the left-hand side, and now through this double right-hander with a blind section in the middle. Christopher Haase had a little look down that line as well, maybe just to throw a warning message to Laventia Ravesh, who responds with a little pivot and a pirouette with that rear on his Mercedes. Hasn't caused him too many dramas as he now makes his way around the final few corners, but you get the sense now with Haase coming, there's a little bit of fretting with the 2 Mercedes sat in 2nd and 3rd.
So Ravesh really mounting the pressure on Bartone, and Haase, he could come out in 2nd place here if he plays this right. This is all allowing James Kell to just pull away at the front of the field. His gap's nearly 5 seconds now as they come across the timing line. So 16.5 minutes remaining. Ravesh trying to find his way through the Hungarian racer. And I tell you, for 2 teams who told me, oh, our car's not working very well this weekend, were Greystone and East Talent. Look at it, and then the fastest cars on the track. Yeah, I guess we always talk about the Mercedes running well here, but it is the best car in terms of the grid numbers. But in this race so far, it's coming up Audi in terms of the speed at the moment, and McLaren for Greystone. Let's see if Haase can get these moves done and get in between Ravesh and Bartone here. Of course, he wants to get his title defence off to the best start, and it was nice for him to go out with Audi with a championship last year, but still wants to defend it. I'm sure there are plenty of big plans for Chris in terms of his future as well. It wasn't 1,000% secured what he was going to be doing this year, but there was a look on the inside there.
It's the 2nd time he's done that.
Yeah, and so trying to disturb the Mercedes. There we know how quickly Chris can carve his way through the field. We think back to Paul Ricard, where he stormed through the order to take a sensational win, kicking up a little bit of dust there as well at the top of the hill. And let's see how the Audi compares, the 5.2 litre V10 against the 6.2 litre V8 in the 2 Mercedes in front of him. 2 very different lines through the final corner. And then it becomes all a bit equidistant, doesn't it, by the time they get onto the start and finish straight. But this battle for 2nd place, currently 9/10 of a second separate those 3 cars.
Yeah, coming down towards turn 1 again. Bartone just looking to marshal his charge. He's been given a reprieve of sorts with Haas are too busy here with Levente Revesh, and obviously Revesh trying to counter it, which does mean that the Hungarians' focus has been somewhat diverted at the moment, and just running a little bit wide of the apex as well, coming up through out of turn 4. Now downhill again. It's a little bit of a look to the inside of Bartone, and at the same time I think using it as defensive shield against Haase, who I'm sure will have no qualms in perhaps making a move like he has been certainly warning, or certainly intending to, heading up the top of the hill, coming out of Samsung, and then down in towards turn 10 and turn 11 on the flow in towards turn 12. And just see there, he's using everything around this Portimao circuit. Is Christopher Haase as he now ascends over the crest out of turn 8, turn 9 and 10 to come. The question is, will he swap once more? Will he again look to throw a curveball here against Revesh, as he does look to take a tighter line? And Revesh also does the same as well in a bid to try and take down Bartone as they now come downhill and then sweep back up once more. Car 18, a 5-second time penalty for track limits. So that has gone the way of Alexei Nesov, down in 21st place. He's going to be given a 5-second time penalty for breaching track limits, as Haase has another look on Revesh as they come downhill again, and he's very close to the back of the Mercedes this time around and swapping all over the rear. He's definitely gone defensive now as Levente Revesh. An opportunity, should he be able to use any straight line speed in the Audi R8 LMS to challenge heading down towards turn 1. It could open the door for Haase, but the Mercedes grunt saving him again.
Another 5-second time penalty, overtaking off track for the 82. So
Ralph
that was
Aaron.
it was either Ralph Aaron or Marcelo Ramirez. But yeah, keep our eyes on this battle. And Haase opening up the track as much as humanly possible into the first corner and into the third one as well. Abusing the track limits there, which is entitled to do. Entitled to try, sorry, at the very least. Trying to get the run down the back straight. The team watching on. Simon Riker watching on the left-hand side there. It closes up so much into the hairpin that Haase could practically reach out and grab the rear wing of the Mercedes and haul it behind him if he wanted to. But this is all over the podium placing, 2nd, 3rd and 4th, with 12 minutes to go in this first race of the season for the International GT Open, the 20th season of this great championship, and it's kicking up all the dramas we usually expect, with a great lead battle in the first half of this race, and now the podium battle still to be decided between 3 separate teams, 2 separate marks, and 3 drivers as well, with Haase the fastest of this trio at the back of the queue, but not able to slice his way through the pack quite in the same way he was last year, that was really so crucial to a lot of their big wins. And I think back to Paul Ricard as well. It was Anthony Bartone that Haase was chasing down that day. Yeah,
well, he's chasing him again, coming downhill. Now this time, obviously remaining once more in behind. Levente Revesh just wasn't quite able to get close enough to at least get the move done. If the Audi wants to do it, it's going to have to be in the corners, I think, because he's not managing to do it in the straights. Levente Revesh, though, getting close to the back of Anthony Bartone as they fly down through towards turn 1 against, again, a wider line taken from Haase in the Audi R8 LMS. The Easterland team watching on no less, I'm sure, in hope that they can clinch perhaps a podium to kickstart their new season in obviously looking to defend their championships that they of course took last season, as they now come down through towards Tora Vip. There's Bartone now with a little bit of a gap to Revesh in behind, not too much, but still enough to allow him to maintain the pace. And Haase once again being asked to push and at least try and persevere to catch Revesh, but it's getting tricky out there. And obviously the Mercedes does seem to have that upper hand, especially in that final sector.
Manages to just pull a bit of a gap, doesn't it? He's really close now through 7 and 8, but also Revesh is still not giving up on second place here, really. And I've got to say, Bartone is doing a great job with this pressure. He's been soaking it up fantastically. That is the tightest line I think Haas has taken into turn 11 yet. That's still not paying off for him, though. And again, Revesh is still just trying to pressure Bartone here. You can throw a blanket over those 3 cars as they reach the apex of turn 13. And Haase trying to wide a line again. And as he got underneath him on the exit of the corner this time around, yes, it is side-by-side for 3rd position. Wide onto the curbing goes Revesh, but now on the inside of the final corner, that's Christopher Haase in the reigning champion East Talent Racing Audi up into 3rd position.
Very nice move there And it was coming as well, wasn't it? Christopher Haase has been knocking on the door for the last 5 laps at the very least, and now looks to hunt down after Anthony Bartone as they now stretch through turn 1. Laventia Ravesh now dispossessed and down into 4th, but the podium battle certainly will not finish there. But let's take a look at the moment. It was the escape coming downhill through Gap Corner where the gap opened up, and Christopher Haase walked just straight through it, didn't he? Almost like the door was wide open, and here's the reaction from the Stellent Audi team. Absolutely thrilled with that, and a clap certainly from those behind the scenes that make this happen for the Audi team. Now coming uphill, Bartone is going to be under some serious pressure now because Ravesh was almost protecting him in many ways, and he was able to just focus on what was in front of him. Well, now the game has changed because Haase is on his tail now as they look to come up inside of turn 8. Haase with a favourable line, picking up more speed, might have carried better momentum, heading downhill now as they come out of turn 10 and through towards turn 11, heading uphill once more. Now, will he go for that aggressive tiger line? Bartone spots it a mile off and tries to defend, but now it might open up again, this time heading down. And then we've got a heavy braking zone, of course, at the top of this very hill, where certainly Christopher Haase might look to manufacture the overtake as they do creep and peep around this time. Bartone holding position in second. Haase, though, as he did before, now looking for a potential move around Galp Corner again. This time on Anthony Bartone, makes the swapper through to the inside, and now they're wheel to wheel, stretching down through towards out of turn 14. Galp Corner to come through turn 15. It's wheel to wheel between Audi and Mercedes, and it's Stellent to charge again. Into second place goes Christopher Haase, and now ahead of Anthony Bartone with 7 minutes and 50 to go.
That's great stuff, and it's 9.2 seconds the lead gap, so I don't think he's going to be doing anything about that over the next 8 or so minutes. The question is going to be, who's going to be joining on the podium, Get Speed or Motorpark, with Ravesh still trying to get this move done on Bartone, but that's two great textbook maneuvers there from Chris Haase to get himself up into second place.
Absolutely fantastic effort from Christopher Haase. Let's take a look at it again. Just the switchback coming through out of turn 14 and turn 13 as well alike. Lovely move from Christopher Haase. Had the favourable line heading downhill at turn 15 as well. We're riding on board now with Anthony Bartone. You just see there on the right-hand side the wheel arches of the Audi R8 LMS, and he just cruised on through, did Christopher Haase. That's the experience right there. And Simon Riker with a cheer as well. Delighted to see his teammates move their car together up the order. And bear in mind, they had a lot of fighting to do to bring themselves up. Granted, the safety car might have helped when it arrived in that timely manner, but still, you've got to have the driver behind the wheel to pull something like this off, and this is exactly what Christopher Haase is capable of.
Absolutely. Oh, it looked like Ravesh had a little dive on the inside there. No, it didn't quite make that move. While we've been watching all this, Dominic Baumann has made his way into the lead in Pro-Am for the SBS crew, with Aaron Walker in second for the number 6 Get Speed crew, and then Alex Fontana in the 31 Car Collection Porsche. So, yeah, it's been all change there while we've been looking at that. Artem Petrov between them and the next car in Pro-Am, which is Lucas Dunner. There is the Pro-Am race leader. So Dominic Baumann, new teammate for him this year. Mikhail Patamba moving on to Prototype Racing in LMP3. And so it is Valentin Pierberg, who is back with the SBS crew, an erstwhile home for the Swiss-German racer, but had a season with Get Speed last year. Now back. Oh no, that's Anthony Bartone who's spun.
Oh.
Bartone from third position has spun at turn 3, so that has put Motorpark surely onto the podium. Yes, it has. So, wow, a big moment there for Bartone. Now, Tom Emerson was so far behind that it hasn't cost him anything just yet, but surely now seeing him in the wheel tracks, and oh, it was contact between Ravesh and Bartone, who immediately got those rear tyres lit up. And I have a feeling that could well be a penalty coming in for the number 11.
Yeah, contact coming in towards turn 3. We're riding on board now with Anthony Bartone heading around the corner this time. And yes, just spun around. Obviously, it'd be interesting to see it from Laventia Ravesh's POV, really, just to see what that looked like. But we rejoin our race leader, of course, James Kell, taking over from Dean McDonald earlier on, both sharing their first victory in the championship last season. Of course, if they win here, it'll only be their second victory ever in the International GT Open. as he now flies down through towards turn 1. 4 minutes and 30 or so to go. Approximately 3 laps to take us home.
Well, is this looking a bit familiar, George? We ended last year with the Greystone, the East Talent, and then a motor park car on the podium. And what have we got at the moment?
Very similar set of affairs.
Yes, it is. I mean, let's set motor park provisionally, pending any penalties there. But I think even a 5-second penalty won't make any difference.
It is under investigation.
Not surprising there, really. But we'll see if that gives the podium back to Get Speed. I mean, if Bartone can even hang on to the podium with this, because we know how quick Tom Empson has been already in this race. This is the battle for second position in Pro-Am, with Aaron Walker in the Get Speed Mercedes leading Alex Fontana in the Car Collection Porsche. So Dominic Baumann is about 4 seconds up the road at leader in class. But as we saw last year, the Pro-Am fight was really where the action was for most of the races. We had great fights up at the front of the field, but it was absolutely brutal in Pro-Am at times, providing a lot of the highlights reel from last year. And the young Aaron Walker has got a very experienced Alex Fontana, multiple GT champion, right behind him and bearing down on him for second in class. Yeah,
and we spoke to Hash as well coming into the weekend, and his comments are of course available on the International GT Open Instagram page. You can check that out. Of course, he said, I want to have fun here, and by the looks of it, if they carry on in this vein, they're going to have lots of fun, because in comes Alex Fontana. Another look up the inside of Aaron Walker, who's got to put his best defensive helmet on, and the man from Hereford in the UK looking to try and defend the place in order to bring home what will be a mighty P2 for Aaron Walker and Steve Jans as they now fly out of the corner at the top of the hill, now coming in towards turn 13. They're going to go wheel to wheel again this time, and Fontana, the Swiss driver, really pushing and prodding, looking for every avenue for an overtake, denied again by Aaron Walker. That was very well defended.
He needs to watch the Christopher Haase line through that last corner, doesn't he, Alex Fontana, and see the Mercedes.
It can be done.
Just pulls out a little bit through the final corner. The rear wing shaking in the turbulent air of the Mercedes coming down the start and finish straight. And let's see how the flat 6 in the Porsche compares to the V8 in the Mercedes. Very evenly matched down there. I'm sure Fontana will be hoping to get that second place. And of course, Hash went from being, several seconds off of the best bronzes in the championship at the start of last year to then fighting for podiums and race wins at the end of last year. And here they are straight away at the start of this season in a podium place, fighting for second.
Yeah, they certainly are. Coming down towards Tora Vip.
That was some closing speed. Got on the brakes really late there.
Yeah, I know what you mean. I know what you meant by that. Certainly they came very close together, didn't they, coming into the apex down at the bottom of the hill. But at the moment, all good so far. Walker still holding on to that Pro-Am second in 10th spot overall as well. James Kell still at the very top. Haase was faster than him over the last lap, but not by much. Approximately 800ths between them over the last lap, as now we watch Fontana again, who's going to push and prod in that final sector. He's leaving it deep every which way. Stewart's decision on car 11, Chris.
Yeah, it's a 10-second penalty for Levente Revesh. So if it stays as it is, that would put the Bartone Bros car back onto the podium. But, and a little bit of contact there with Fontana getting into the back of Walker in this battle for second in Pro-Am. He tries to get underneath the Mercedes coming through the penultimate corner. Meanwhile, James Kell, our race leader, has started the final lap of the race at Team Tour. Off again.
Yeah, off again to the side of the road. Obviously, James Kell managing to dodge and weave his way around it, but we join our race leader here for the final lap of action here at the Algarve in race 1 of the International GT Open 2025 Championship, and Greystone on their return to the series once more. Only one win they have under their belt, and they can thank James Kell as well as Dean McDonald for that fact last year. They're now looking to make it 2, and what a perfect way to start the campaign this season. As he dives downhill, he'll make his way through the very technical portion of the circuit, coming through the last stage of Sector 2 into Sector 3 proper now as he rounds the top of the hill. Here's the moment once more. This is the Revesh Anthony Bartone contact that led to the penalty. 10 seconds now given to Levente Revesh after this contact that spun around Anthony Bartone. So as it stands, Bartone will retake that third place. But Greystone GT, on their return to the series, James Kell, after a magnificent stint from Dean McDonald, he overtook Fabian Schiller to take the lead of the race, and now descending downwards for the first time since 2013, when Duncan Cameron and Matt Griffin cross the line. A British driver will win here at Portimao in the International GT Open. It's a second win in the GT Open for James Kell and Dean McDonald. Victory for Greystone. Christopher Haase comes across the line in second. A great race for the Easterland Audi outfit, defending their titles this season with Leventi Ravesh crossing the line and taking their checkered flag. But we all know, with the 10-second time penalty that Ravesh has taken, that Anthony Bartone, on coming up towards the line, will take third place for the Bartone Brothers Get Speed team. And then up towards the line, great efforts from Tom Empson as well. Zach Meakin, the young guns in the McLarens, and also Tom Empson in the Ferrari, doing a great job. Celebrations at Easterland Audi, they'll be absolutely thrilled with that, because they believed it would be a Mercedes weekend.
That's what everyone was saying to us, and only one of them on the podium in the end. That's back-to-back victories for Greystone GT, of course, having ended last season with victory in Monza. Christopher Haase gets his title defence off to a great start with second position, and Fabian Schiller and Anthony Bartone third as well. Pro-Am win going to Dominic Baumann and Valentin Pierberg in the number 20 SPS Mercedes, and Alex Fontana did get past Aaron Walker in the end, so Car Collection number 31 is second, Get Speed number 6 in third, and then the AM win going to the number 21 AF Corsa of Gino Forgione and Michele Rugolo as well, and this was an off on the last lap for the Stephen Grove Iron Lynx car.
Yeah, getting caught onto the grass. Not sure whether there was any contact in that, but certainly a great moment for Greystone. We'll run you through the classification now as the race comes to a close. So here we go. Dean McDonald and James Kell, their second wins in the International GT Open, with Greystone taking all the spoils, the McLaren outfit, with Simon Riker, Christopher Haase fighting their way into second place for Easterland Audi. Bartone and Schiller third, Ravesh Kairoli fourth, Levin Empson fifth, Porter Meakin in sixth, Bennett Mosca seventh, Pierberg Baumann eighth, Visu further down then as well in ninth, and Alex Fontana 10th, Aaron Walker 11th, Artem Petrov 12th, Lucas Dunner as well further down as well, finishing across the line in 13th, Philip Salakada 14th, Ralph Aaron in 15th place, and further down Dexter Muller, Amari Bonduel, Fabio Verbini, Marcin Jedlinski, Robin Rogalski, Vincent Abril, Michele Rugolo, Alexei Nessov as well further down, Luca Ludwig, Velasco, Sansom, Ramos, Blanchimont, Pavarud, the Groves, as well as Naran and Jackson, Goodmanson, Gazrasen further down in 29th, and of course we lost a couple as well later in the race, but credit to Greystone GT. A magnificent return to the International GT Open once again. Dean McDonald and James Kell separating a phenomenal victory. There's James Kell right now, no doubt delighted with the performance that he and his team have pulled together. And McLaren get the upper hand, and I have to say, it's not often we can say that here at Portimao, certainly here in recent years where Mercedes have been so strong. But this time around, it is all about them, and credit to them as well. A handshake also from the Get Speed team. Of course, Anthony Bartone, who is in amongst a huge fight and scrap of his own as well. Fabian Schiller doing a fantastic initial stint, but just wasn't to be for them in the end. Schiller will have to wait for that additional race win. Let's run you through the top three. Anthony Bartone, Fabian Schiller after the 10-second time penalty for Leventi Ravesh, finishing third on the podium. Second place going to Simon Riker and Christopher Haase. What a fight from Haase in the final stint after a very good Simon Riker first stint. And then our winners, of course, for the second time, Dean McDonald and James Kell. Victory here in Portimao, and breaking the Mercedes trend. And they are standing by for an
James
interview.
Kell, winner. You lost your teammate, but I guess it's coming. We left it at Monza with you on the podium, and we take it here at Portimao with you on the podium.
Yeah, no, it's a good start to our season. This was always the aim with this project with Greystone, to come in and really show what the team can do again, and try and go for a championship basically, and that's what we're here to do. And you know, we wouldn't be happy any other way. So,
was it difficult? It's a tough track. good competition, warm weather?
Yeah, of course. Obviously, the temperature plays a part. We're still learning this new tyre for the championship, and yeah, we're really starting to get on top of it a little bit. I still think we have a bit of learning to do, but yeah, no, it's going really well, and yeah, no, it's a great track to drive.
Well done, and hopefully your Dean will join you on the podium.
Thank you.
So there we have it. Great job from Dean McDonald, James Kell. So let's see how they did it. Race 1 in the International GT Open 2025 Championship here at Portimao. It was a great start for Fabian Schiller, and equally a decent one for Dean McDonald. They both ran wheel to wheel on the way down in towards turn 1. It would eventually, though, be Schiller who would hold on in those initial places. We saw, though, a little bit of drama later on in the race. Hernandez getting caught out after contact with Stanislav Jedlinski. Both cars coming to a standstill. Hernandez, his standstill was slightly longer than Jedlinski's. Then another run down through towards turn 1 as we got the restart back underway. Tommaso Mosca coming together with Carol Bash as well as the debris would fly off both cars. We then had the driver change window period with Anthony Bartone, one of those to step in place of Fabian Schiller. And it led to this moment where James Kell would pounce out of the pit lane in lead of the race, managing to jump past Anthony Bartone through the course of the pit stop, which was magnificently done and not in breach of the handicap as they were confirmed to be all okay. There was plenty of wheel-to-wheel action, though, involving Easter Audi, Christopher Haase, with a magnificent overtake on Levente Ravesh, and then later he would do the same at the same corner, this time against Anthony Bartone, and would then move his way into second out on track. There'll be more drama, though, involving Ravesh and Bartone. Ravesh catching the back end of Bartone's car, but all of it would be about Greystone GT, who would come across the line for his second victory in the International GT Open and the first British driver to win since Duncan Cameron back in 2013. So there we go. A phenomenal race, phenomenal performance all round. Credit to James Kell crossing the line, bringing the victory home for the Greystone GT team. There is Easter Audi, Haase and Riker celebrating with the rest that are on the podium. Very soon we'll get celebrations underway. Good race though, Chris.
Absolutely, and what a great performance from this Greystone team. The drivers just debriefing there after that very exciting race. It was good to see Bartone just came straight over to James as well. Went, fair play, you did better in the stops than us. And that made a huge difference for them as well, because I think if they'd have been caught up in a fight with Bartone and Ravesh coming at them as well, trying to do that pass on track, then probably Chris Haase would have had an easier job at that as well. So that pit stop was definitely
the catalyst.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, defining moment in that race as they now get called to the podium.
Yeah, of course, a different kind of victory to the one they took last season. Of course, they were a dominant force at Monza. When they went on to take the first victory and standing tall again. And, of course, we will have the national anthems kicking off. Indeed, here is the British national anthem. Well, there we have it. The national anthem of Great Britain rings out here at the Algarve for Dean McDonald and James Kell. Now the trophy presentation will begin on part of Michelin. They will, of course, first of all pass on the team's trophy to Greystone GT, who are the winning teams here in this first race of the International GT Open, and Jesus Pereira, Championship CEO of GT Sport Organisation as well, provide the trophies for our third place drivers, Anthony Bartone, Fabian Schiller. This carries on in the same vein, Chris. I mean, many thought, like we said before, that this was a Mercedes one. Might be not so sure now. I mean, obviously we've got race 2 still to come tomorrow.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a whole different ball game, isn't it? So, conditions will be slightly different, you know, and we'll have different drivers in the cars. We'll have, you know, the likes of Vincent Abreu qualifying the cars as well, Ralph Aron as well, and yeah, Dominic Baumann will be qualifying the SBS car as well. So yeah, it could be a very, very different kettle of fish tomorrow. And of course, you know, that man Chris Hassel will be qualifying the Audi as well. But yeah, all in all, that brewed up very, very nicely and sets us up well for a good season ahead. And still another 60 minutes of racing to come tomorrow, of course.
Absolutely, and another qualifying session in the morning as well, so we'll soon decide how that grid looks, but we've still got some more podiums to bring you as well. But congratulations, James Kell, Dean McDonald, also to the Easterland Audi pairing of Haase and Riker, Simon Riker, Christopher Haase, on achieving that P2, and also Anthony Barteau and Fabian Schiller finishing third, despite the late spin after the contact with Levente Ravesh. But next up, we have the Pro-Am podium, and at the very top of it, Dominic Baumann sharing it with Valentin Pierberg, who once again returns to the series, also a former champion in his own right as well in this series. And no strangers to success. Neither is Alex Fontana, who will be jumping onto the podium as well. But on the third place spot, Aaron Walker will step up after that final stint, bringing it home in very good fashion, alongside Steve Jans, who once again marks a return since his full season campaign in 2022.
Yep, so it was a late move for Fontana to get it done. All German teams on the podium as well.
Yes.
Last time we've seen that, of course, with SBS, Car Collection and Get Speed. They'll be hoping for that in Hockenheim later in the year, won't they?
They would love it in Hockenheim. It'd be fantastic. But the German flags rising high in amongst all three podiums here this time. Jesus Pereira, CEO of the GT Sport organisation, presenting the third place trophy. First and foremost to Aaron Walker and Steve Jans. And the Michelin representative now also passing on the second place Pro-Am trophy to Hash and Alex Fontana. Certainly last but not least, it will be the turn of Dominic Baumann, as well as Valentin Pierberg. Jesus Pereira presenting the winning trophies to both drivers. Great start for SBS as well. Also want to say well done to, I mean, it looked like it was going to be a decent run as well for Dexter Muller, as well as his teammate Yannick Mettler, especially after that great start. Dexter was defending so hard for the start of his stint.
Yeah, I think they were sixth in the end, and so they should actually be the top car. Yeah, they are. So the top car that started with the pro driver, and that goes to show, like, that we've talked about when the safety car came out, that because these cars had their pros in them, that they were going to struggle because of that in the second part of the race. And the car that was leading in the first part of the race ended up coming home sixth. So yeah, that shows you everything you need to know. The AM winners there. Michele Rugolo. Oh, no, sorry, that's not the AM winners. That's the Garage 59 crew, isn't it? That finished second. So Mark Sampson and Miguel Ramos.
Yeah, the returning former champion, back with us again in the International GT Open, this time taking on AM class, as he so rightly said in a conversation that we had with him, an interview we had with him during Friday practice day. Obviously was very much aware that they were fighting for different things this season, and yeah, for Garage 59 in AM class. And Vimana by Get Speed featuring the third place spot on the podium, with Naran holding the trophy firmly.
Yeah, so I'm just looking at that, because that should have been a Pro-Am car, but is Tom Jackson, did Tom Jackson not race today? Well, that's something we're going to have to look up a little bit later, because if Amir was on his own there, then yeah.
Gino Forgione hopping on the back of Michele Rugolo, and can't afford any injuries before race 2 tomorrow, gents, so please don't. But great to see Miguel Ramos back, and also Mark Sampson as well. Trophies being presented to the rest of the drivers as well. Amir Naran already receiving his third place trophy. Also congratulations to Garage 59 on their emergence in the International GT Open as well, with Miguel Ramos, an experienced contender, with Mark Sampson also alongside him. Jesus Pereira also presenting the winning trophies to, of course, our winners in AM class, Michele Rugolo, Gino Forgione, and AF Corset taking that one. But what a fabulous fight. What a fabulous race it has been here, opening up the weekend of the International GT Open. We'll be back for qualifying tomorrow morning. We'll see you then. Goodbye.